Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am creating a scalloped box card pop-up using some cuties from Hello Bluebird from the North Pole Littles stamp set. So first of all, I wanted to tell you that normally I don't make a box card with pattern papers. I usually create a lot of scenery inside that box. But this time I decided to challenge myself to get a box done using pattern papers instead of scenes. So for the pattern papers I took the Doodlebug design Christmas Magic Paper Pad, as well as the Fawn Really Rainbow Christmas Paper Pack. And these three pattern papers will really give color to my card. I'm using those elements from this Scalloped box card pop-up to die cut all these elements out of my pattern papers. They will fit perfectly on this box. But as I told you before, it's the first time that I'm creating a box using pattern papers, and there were a few things that went wrong. For example, when I was gluing my pattern papers on my box elements, I glued them on the wrong side, just because I just didn't realize it until I was going to assemble my box. But I was lucky because I was using my permanent print adhesive roller, and that way I could peel it off again without ruining my box or my pattern paper, so I was really lucky. But now I am die cutting all my elements so that I can add everything onto my cards at the same time. So I'm adding all the pattern papers and I'm trying to align it as straight as possible. And as you can see here, as soon as I was placing my green pattern papers on top of my box pieces, I went wrong. So I will peel them off in a few seconds. But I was going to assemble my box, so I took my score tape. As you know me, I prefer using some score tape to make it really sturdy when making a box or a three-dimensional card. And I actually thought that I had adhered my score tape on the wrong side of that flap, which wasn't the case in the end. I just, yeah. I was completely mind blown by all the pattern paper, I think. So here I saw that my green was going to overlap with that flap, which wasn't supposed to be like that because the green should be on the outside. So I took off that score tape and it was fiddling and I ripped a bit of the paper off because I thought that I had glued it on wrongly. But actually the green cardstock was wrong, and here I realized that. So I corrected my mistake and those two other mistakes. And then I could continue with the real assembling of my box. Before closing up the box, I prefer adding those insert pieces. I'm making sure that they are aligned straight, and then I'm folding down that other flap . And then I can close up my box. So I really actually like how those pattern papers turned out. They're really bright, but in the end it fits so well with the Christmas theme. Yeah, here I found that my box wasn't closing perfectly, so I had to shift it a bit. Not always easy with the score tape, but I managed, and I'm really happy that I did that. So my pattern paper is on the box, my box is ready. Now I need to color in all my images. And therefore I stamp them out on Neenah using Gina Design Amalgam ink, and I'm going to color them in using my Copic markers. As you know me, I am putting the caps on the side so that you can see which colors I am using. It's just easy for reference. And while I'm coloring, I am going to put on some music, and I will be back after all the coloring is done. After all the images were colored in, I used the matching dies to die cut them, and then I decided to lay them on top of the stamp set because I wanted to give some extra details to some of them using some glossy accents, some stickers, and I wasn't going to do that as soon as they were adhered to my box. So I first laid them out, added those details, let it dry, and then I came back to my box and assembled everything. So here I'm just laying it on top of a stamp set because this way I could lay everything aside without touching anything. That was an easy solution for me. So I'm adding some stickers on top of those hats because I really like doing that. And then I will add some glossy accents to that North Pole sign. And then I laid it aside. So as soon as everything was dry, I came back to my box and I was figuring out how I was going to lay out everything. I took some liquid glue to help me assemble this box. And in this case, some tweezers are really handy to let everything dry and keep it in place. So I really recommend that if you don't have that yet. So the North Pole sign really made me fiddle a lot with it. In the end I wanted it to be behind the elf, so I skipped it a bit to the left. And then I could add that North Pole sign more to the right, hanging a bit off my box, but since my box is closing up to the right side, it doesn't matter if it's a bit hanging over, which I really like. So I'm adding the extra elements my elf was doing really difficult, but it worked out in the end, so I am really glad with the end result, and that's the most important part. But yeah, I'm just gathering those extra elements all around. And it's really not handy to get in for you guys to see, but I tried to make it as clear as possible how I created this box. And I'm just putting some things here and there, so it's really a joy to watch, and you can always find some new extras when looking at it. And then I was going to continue with that sign. But here I managed it. And then I was thinking about the sentiment that was still missing at that point. So therefore I took some dark paper. It's actually the long Fawn cardstock, black licorice. I use my Ranger embossing powder white, the super fine detail. So therefore I'm stamping it out with Versamark clear embossing ink. So I had 3 sentiments in mind, but in the end I will only use 2 of them. I'm going to remove that excess embossing powder that is still on the sides. And then I can heat set everything. To get these sentiments cut out straight, I use these sentiment strips from Mama Elephant. And now the only thing left to do is to adhere my sentiments on top of my box. And then my box is finished. So I'm really glad that I made a box using only pattern papers, and I hope to use this technique, if you want to call it like that, more in the future. So who knows? Yeah, this is my box. So I really hope that you like this card design, and I hope to see you next time as well. Bye!